Hello and welcome to another episode. This one is the what if direction that Hyundai Group could take with the Gen5W Head Unit in our 2022 to 24 model cars and other models. This is my achievable fantasy list of features. Some have been gathered from comments in previous videos on the Maps Infotainment updates that people have left over the years. Some have suggested after the last Maps update that development is dead on the Gen5W Head Unit, but I personally think it's just slowed down a bit at the moment. It's not as if they have stopped making cars with this head unit, and the forthcoming Hyundai Budget EV has a head unit, so I don't think the development has stopped. Also, the 2024 Generation 1 EV6 Ioniq 5 and 6 are also still being produced and still currently sold, for now anyway. So to them, people are still buying new cars. So why drop support all of a sudden for these new cars? There are obvious minor annoyances like the image of the car on the front screen. It's not an EV6, but what car is it? Nobody knows. It looks like a generic mishmash of something or other. In the 3D camera view, you can't change the colour of the car. Anyway, back to the list. Number one on the list was always wireless Android Auto. The dispute that kept it from being enabled in the car was resolved last year. This has led to new models having it enabled by default, like the EV9 and the EV3. Also in August, the Genesis GV60, the sister car to the EV6, had it enabled for the first time. So most of us have already purchased wireless adapters, which I can accept, so we already mostly have a solution, but they still connect to your phone if the car is woken up for any reason. And you'll suddenly get a connection from the car if you leave the adapter plugged in. The built-in wireless CarPlay and Android Auto would not do this, so it would be a nice to have feature. But what could they do? What if? The first one has long been requested. There was even an e-petition a few years back to push Hyundai Group to do this. I think Andrew Till ran that. So that is create a new manual battery conditioning split screen with a manual button to turn battery conditioning on and off. This would work side by side on the same screen as Android Auto or CarPlay. So you could do away with the built-in maps completely. Secondly, is one of my ideas. Did you ever think that the 5-inch climate control screen on the EV9 and the EV3 was a great idea, but is in the wrong place? The steering wheel basically blocks access to it. I know why it's there. On the EV6, it's the bit of dead space between infotainment and driver's cluster. So why not replicate it in software in one of the split screens? This would have the advantage of being on screen permanently or swipe up and down away. And you could have this side by side with anything you're running, the maps, the Android Auto or CarPlay, and you could just expand it like you do on the EV9 with the plus button. This would save having to faff with the dual automatic temperature controller and to allow you to keep the media controls on the DATC and also your eyes on the road instead of having to glance down to turn on the climate control like you have to do. Many have suggested in comments that more features could be added to the EV Journey Planner to make it more like a better route planner software, which would be good. Others have also suggested that being able to battery condition and plan down to 10% state of charge would be a good feature. The only problem with this is it requires dealer installed software updates to BMS and VCU as well as the infotainment software. This particular comment is from my recent August Maps and Infotainment update, where he gives a complete list of his wish list, most of which are already covered elsewhere in this video. So his was to show navigation information from Google Maps via Android Auto and CarPlay on the head-up display. MEB vehicles, which is the Volkswagen ID3 and 4 and all of those, have been able to do this since 2020 apparently. So why not Kia, Hyundai and Genesis? He also suggests that the map data is rubbish. It shows me speed limits on the motorway from construction zones that haven't existed for years, and that's absolutely true. I've experienced that. I've also experienced some weird junctions in Wales where the roads appear on the map as going straight across, but they zigzag, so it's quite confusing. So it's got a long way to go. So moving to Google Maps is one way out of this. But if they could just improve the maps anyway. So what's everyone's pet peeves or suggestions for improvements? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.